And I got to tell you, Chris, I am pretty excited. Today is a very special day. And for those that haven't heard already, the Arty Party is starting.
Arty Party.
That's right, folks. The Arty Party starting. I'm leaving the music in the background. I've got my best party attire on. This gold watch you gave me, I couldn't figure out how to resize it. You gotta unscrew some stuff, and it's your wrist is a little bit bigger than mine, so it doesn't quite fit. But today, the Arty Party comes to Vancouver, folks. Rogers Arena, 7 p.m. tonight. The New York Rangers are in town. Might be a tough task for the young man, but 21-year-old Latvian goaltender who you've heard talked about many a times on this show before, Artur Silovs, is making his NHL debut tonight. And Chris, I am very excited for the kid. .956 save percentage over his last 5 starts down in Abbotsford. 3 shutouts on the season. This kid has progressed so well this year, and I am very happy to see him getting this opportunity today.
Yep, obviously is
to say the absolute least.
No, for sure. I mean, he's had a heck of a year so far in Abbotsford. He's been in a spot where, listen, we talked about this in the offseason going into it, was like, hey, if we get to a point at any point this year that we're currently in right now where Silovs is like challenging to be the starter in the AHL, that's a win. And he's been the starter. He's played in 35 of their 46 games. So lots of ice time for Artur Silovs. And I was a little surprised this morning to see that, to hear Talkett say that that is going to be Silovs tonight. It's bold. I think it's extremely bold.
I genuinely, I wasn't expecting it. I thought, okay, you reward the kid with a paycheck. He gets to get some work in with Ian Clark. Win-win. Everybody wins in this situation. But to put him in net, I'm not criticizing the decision at all. I'm a fan of this. And again, I'll address this right off the top. We're going to talk about this right away because you see the people on Twitter, and I put out a 3-tweet thread about this, and Twitter was breaking at the time, so it didn't upload, which I think is a direct attack against me, as I tweeted out earlier. But basically what I said in that thread was, I see a lot of people on Twitter, and maybe even people listening to this podcast, saying, why would they do this? Don't you remember Mikey DiPietro and what happened to him when he got thrown in an emergency situation when he was 19 years old against the San Jose Sharks? I believe that was a 7-2 loss right around my birthday. May have been on my birthday.
It was
it's all coming
Saturday
back
night
to me.
Rugby Sevens.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me. I was at Stan's Pizza Joint in North Burnaby watching that.
I was at the game.
Nice. Okay, anyways, let me get back to this. People comparing the two situations. And I think aside from the fact of a young goaltender under 22 is getting in net, like, I think that's the only comparison here, because situation from the CHL to the AHL, that's a massive jump. That is a massive jump that is very hard for a lot of goaltenders to adjust to. CHL to the AHL, the jump from the AHL to the NHL in terms for goaltenders, it's not that different. Learning to play pro hockey in North America, pro hockey, that's the emphasis here. Those things are similar. The CHL and the AHL really aren't similar. And I'm saying this after talking to goaltenders. Look, I haven't played in the CHL. I haven't played in the AHL. I haven't played in the NHL. But I've talked to goaltenders who have played in all three, and the consensus seems to be the CHL to pro hockey, no matter where it is, that's the biggest jump. That is the biggest jump for a goaltender to make. So you take a 19-year-old kid, again, under emergency circumstances, so he doesn't really have time to prepare himself, anything like that. I don't even think all the preparation in the world couldn't have prepped Mikey DiPietro for what he was going to face that night. But, gotta take a breather. 19-year-old kid.
Where's my chicken and rice?
19-year-old kid coming from the CHL, going straight to the NHL. That's a massive jump to make. And again, I'm not even willing to entertain the idea that was what derailed Mikey DiPietro's development. The year on the COVID list, or on the taxi squad, that really hurt him a lot more. Okay, so that aside, the situation that Artur Silovs is in now, this is a 21-year-old goaltender who, one, has played pro hockey before, okay? Now he's in Abbotsford, literally in Abbotsford, the AHL, okay? And he has been one of the best goaltenders in the league recently. The entire league, like Dustin Wolf in Calgary. There's a fantastic goaltending prospect. Remember the name, folks. Dustin Wolf is going to be awesome. Artur Silovs been right there with him as of late, right? The way I look at this, Chris, is right now, I am confident in saying this. Put it on the record, starting the music back up. Artur Silovs is the best goaltender in the Vancouver Canucks organization right now. Aside from Thatcher Demko. He is the best option that the Canucks have right now.
To play in the NHL?
To play in the NHL. Look at the numbers Colin Delia was putting up in the AHL before.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Colin Delia sparking all sorts of confidence for you right now?
No, but Silovs isn't at the NHL level either.
I'm saying that, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Get this Arty Party.
You're absolutely right. But what I'm saying, Chris, is that right now, the situation that the Canucks find themselves in, it's either keep running with Spencer Martin, who's lost the last 10 games, and keep in mind, folks, another thing on the goaltending thing, the Canucks want to rebuild this asset. They want to have Spencer Martin capable of at least playing as a backup in the NHL next year, right? He's going down to Abbotsford to play. He's going down to work on some things with Marco Chirenius. It wasn't just a punishment that Spencer Martin was sent down or anything like that. The Canucks have vested interest in this guy. They want him. Remember, he signed for next year as well on a one-way deal. They want this guy to work it out. They want him to go down to Abbotsford, and they want him to figure out his game and kind of rebuild his game, if you will. Now, with that in mind, I really don't hate the idea of Silovs playing tonight because, as I said, it's not like the DiPietro situation. This is a 21-year-old goaltender who's been one of the best goaltenders in the AHL over the past little bit. It's a small sample size of him being fantastic, but he has taken the starter's load in the AHL this year, and that is a heavy load to dump on the kid. And it was for him. Like, he wasn't expecting to have it this year, but he's had to do the role. He's had to play in the role, similar to how Mikey DiPietro did the year before the taxi squad when he took the job from Zane McIntyre was the other goalie in Utica at the time. When he took that job and kind of ran with it under Trent Cull at the time, we were singing the praises of DiPietro. So maybe that's a lesson in pumping the brakes, and maybe I should take off these sunglasses and all 3 chains that I'm wearing.
Nope.
But I am excited to see Artur Silovs in net tonight, and I don't understand. Well, actually, I understand where it's coming from. I do not agree with any sort of outrage over this decision of why would they do this against the Rangers. Look, if Silovs goes in tonight and lets in 8 goals, but he moves well, that's a successful NHL debut in my books.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's depending on what you want to see for the result being success for Silovs, because there's still a lot of things that Artur Silovs needs to work on.
Yes,
for sure.
He looks like Jacob Markstrom when Jacob Markstrom first got to the Canucks.
Yeah, he's extremely athletic, and I think I always say this about goalies. I don't love goalies in general, but with Silovs, he's one of these goalies where when they're scrambling, you still feel some confidence in them. When they're scrambling around, they're still able to like make a save. There's certain guys that are just flopping. With Silovs, like there's a lot of things that he does right that way. I'm really happy that he's up here to get some time with Ian Clark, like get some in-person time with Ian Clark, because I don't think he sees a lot of, I know he talks to him a lot, but I don't think he sees a lot of them out there in Abbotsford. There's still video work and phone calls and all that being done, but now being here in person, I think that's the biggest win here for Artur Silovs in the situation he's going to have. But you know what, 21-year-old kid, he's had a hell of a run this year. I enjoy talking to him out there in Abbotsford. Let's play one of the clips, actually. We do have some stuff from when I spoke to Silovs on Friday. We'll start with Silovs talking about the development that he's had going out there, because I asked him about being into a spot now where he's playing a lot more games, taking on the role of being a true starter in the AHL. Here's Artur Silovs talking about his development.
It's actually fun getting experience, like playing in American Hockey League. Like it's like really good for me, my development, and I'm glad to have that kind of opportunity. So
with developing, like I don't know if you were expecting to play this many games. Is it something that's like good for you to just play this much for development?
Yeah, I think it is good. Like getting mentally always ready for each game, because like you have to be short memory. Today, tomorrow's the next game.
Okay, sorry.
Go ahead. Taking
the reins again. Here's what I want people to remember, because we just pointed out that he's like a young Jacob Markstrom in the sense of he's susceptible to the long-range goal or the early one, right? Like, that's kind of what we've seen from Artur Silovs. Might get beat under the arms. I'm not trying to predict what's going to happen in his NHL debut tonight. Of course, we're recording this before the first game, so this might not age well. But regardless, what I want people to remember, Chris, is that this is a 7th-round pick by the Canucks. 6th round, actually, in the 2019 NHL entry draft. And what I want to remind people of, Chris, is they drafted him because of his raw talent, right? Like he played for the Latvian national team at the World Juniors, and that's where the Canucks first saw him, right? Like that's where Ian Clark first scouted him and said, this is the guy I want, right? And Clark really, really wanted Seelovs in that draft year. Like, you know, I'm not going to delve into it too much, but all I'll say is Clark really wanted Seelovs and made that clear to absolutely everybody in the Canucks organization. And he got his guy. He got his guy, and the guy has so much raw talent, Chris, that I want people to remember that even at 21 years old, with all these strides he's taken, he still has so much room to grow. Like, you're going to see a lot of things tonight that you don't see from Colin Delia and you don't see from Spencer Martin, because Seelovs is an athletic freak and he just has those innate abilities, okay? But you're also going to see a lot of things that you see from Delia and Martin when you say, oh, damn, they shouldn't be doing that at the NHL level. The only difference is Seelovs is 21 and has a ceiling, a much higher ceiling than either of the guys that the Canucks have been riding with, right? I have absolutely no problem with giving the kid a chance to play in the NHL and get his feet wet, right? And further to my point about the DiPietro thing, like, no matter what happens tonight,
drop the DiPietro.
Whatever. No matter what happens tonight, Chris, no matter what happens tonight with Arty Seelovs in net against the New York Rangers, who granted are a very strong team, no matter what happens, okay, during the Arty Party, no matter what happens tonight, Seelovs is going to go back to the AHL, and he's not going to miss a beat. He's not going to go down to the AHL where he was just tearing it up. He's not going to go back down and say, oh, I got shelled by the Rangers. Oh, I really don't feel confident against the Bakersfield Condors. Like this, it's a complete non-talking point, and I'm done. We're not spending any more time on it. The Arty Party's coming to Vancouver tonight.
Let's hear from Seelovs. He talked about his confidence from just playing games and the way that he's had, and this was, you know, confidence was sky high. Obviously, this is the conversation I had with him was after a 4-0 shutout. So let's get that clip up here. Let's get Arty Seelovs talking about confidence. This is from me speaking to him on Friday after his 4-0 shutout. So here is Arty Seelovs talking about it.
I feel pretty good right now, you know, like playing more and more games is like boosts your confidence, you know, and yeah, I feel pretty good right now.
About the goalie,
I think it's like more about like small changes, you know, it's like a game of details, so it's like always be reminded to be sharp on those things, like which are like missing sometimes, or you know.
Yeah, talking about the confidence and everything out there. Not a huge talker.
A couple people in the YouTube live chat, folks, come interact with us. We appreciate it. Dominic said, DiPietro was the only option available. Seelovs has more trust from the organization. Considering the options available, it should be a different mindset. My point exactly. And Commander Vander said, drop the comparison.
Yeah, this is just him getting into I think, like a scenario where Ian Clark can see him play in person, get a time to watch how he looks against NHL shooters, and then start to maybe key in on a few things. Because yeah, I really like Seelovs, but I'm not super confident he's at that level just yet. He still has a lot of
growing to do.
A lot of things that he can learn from Ian Clark, I think. Yep. He's got, like, I saw this when Arty Seelovs was 18 years old. He was at Canucks training camp in Victoria. That was the first time I saw him on the ice, and I thought, man, like, this guy looks like he has that look of like an NHL size goaltender. Like, he looked big in the crease. He moved extremely well as an 18-year-old back then, and he's continued to kind of do those things here moving forward. Now it's just more about something that he's talked to me about throughout the season is like just continuing to make the small changes, but keeping consistent, right? Like, keep a lot of consistency with what you're working on in drills, but also make these small changes at the necessary time. And that's the thing. You don't want him to come into an NHL game and make big changes or get away from the game plan that's given him success in Abbotsford this year. You just want him to go in and not even reach for a big change. Just go in there, and maybe you need to make a few small changes going up against NHL players. Like, maybe you have to be a little bit quicker getting to your spots, or not be able to, or stay in the butterfly for less time because you have to get up and quick and move with all the passes that are going to be at the NHL level, especially on a Rangers team that's a really good team. They got one of the better top sixes in the NHL. They just added Vladimir Tarasenko. They're on a 5-game win streak. They're averaging 5 goals a game over the last 5 games. They're going to score. They're going to score a lot, and they're going to score on Seelovs tonight. It's going to happen. You just hope that he takes it the way that he's been talking about growing his game and developing his game throughout the season is all about small changes. You just don't want to see a big change come from this game. That's the negative that could come out of this, is him changing the way that he's playing or just falling back to being, like I said this on Halford and Bruff last week. He's an incredible maker of saves. I don't think he's an incredible goaltender yet, but he's an incredible maker of saves. When he needs to make a save, Seelovs is very good at that. He's not a tremendous goaltender yet, but he is a very good maker of saves.
Here's something I want to say to help you put it in a perspective of how much he's grown and how much he still has to grow, because you just laid it out pretty well about how he still has a lot of things that he can learn and a lot of things he can improve on as a goaltender, right? Remember, you just said 18-year-old, you saw him in Victoria, right? Do you remember how wide his stance used to be and how hunched over he was?
Nope, not even a little bit.
Okay, well, for anybody interested, and I know it might be all 5 of you, go Google his highlights,
just dropping off.
His highlights at the World Juniors in 2018. That was the year. And how he's hunched over 2019. Whatever year it was.
He never played in the World Juniors.
Okay, whatever it was. Whenever he played in his draft year. Go look at draft year tape of Archer Seelovs, okay? He's hunched over. His legs are super low and wide. And again, he's very low in the net. So it was funny you said he looks big in the crease. He didn't back then. He looked very small. He looked like, you know, a very, very tiny goaltender. He didn't look like he doesn't look doing himself any favors.
Aku Koskenvo, who just looks massive at 18.
Yeah, exactly. But
a little bit
Seelovs, you know, he's got the athleticism in the legs. It's similar to Yaroslav Askarov, actually. Yeah. And I'm not going to keep going on that. We're done. We're done.
Both extremely good goaltenders.
Arty Party tonight. You've got Brock Besser listed here.
Well,
I'm done for the
final
rest
thing
of the show.
With Seelovs is his record for the year, 21-9-4. So he has been out there getting a lot of wins for the Abbotsford Canucks team. And I mentioned, played in 35 of the 46 games. Tell you what, like he's playing the best hockey of his pro career too. The last 5 games have been excellent. He's allowed 6 goals over the last 5 games.
Final thing on Arty. With all this stuff about you know, teams being interested reportedly in Thatcher Demko, and the Canucks obviously, you know, if they get calls, they're obviously going to consider it. Do you think they'd have a more comfortable time considering it and taking a big return if they at least have an idea of what Seelovs might look like in the NHL level? Like this idea of, don't do it against the Rangers. If he craps the bet against the Rangers, then the Canucks at least know where he's at.
Yeah, but if he gets a shutout, they aren't trading Demko tomorrow.
Of course not. Although
they're not,
there'll be a lot of people
going
out
to
there
give him
that
a
should.
run. They're not going to give him a run.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for the long-term outlook of the goaltending department, it is good to know what your 21-year-old goaltender who's tearing it up in the A is going to look like.
Yeah, but you're not going to know what he's going to look like. You're getting one game, right? You're going to see
one game. Yeah, but I'm not saying look at the result and go off that only.
Okay.
I'm saying how comfortable does he look? How far off does he look? I think
to your point, if you saw him, and I've had this thought for a while, like I would be fine seeing Seelovs get 4 to 6 starts this year to finish off the season. Like he's in Abbotsford. You can call him up whenever, get him a start, send him back. Like, I know that that's not how you're going to win the most games. Like when Thatcher Demko's healthy, that's great. But like now that you have Abbotsford right here, you should utilize this. And if you have even like basically anything except for him getting scored on 6 times on the first 12 shots and getting pulled, like if that happens, don't do that again this year. But if any other result happens, I'm totally fine seeing Seelovs for 3 or 4 more games after tonight this season, just to get to your point of like now you see half decent sample size of where he's at as a 21-year-old. So I'm down for that.
I agree with you.